your Instagram data may not be quite so private.
So, hey, John, you've got a story about potentially Instagram having a little issue with perhaps their RIM policy.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a RIM issue. It's kind of a data storage problem. It's hard to classify just because, you know, for many of us, it's a tough situation. So if you remember in the European Union and GDPR, you know, we have this data privacy concern, right? Big, huge issue. State of California has other similar laws. Other states and municipalities do as well, where your data is yours, right? And if you say, hey, wipe me from the system, or you can say, I want to see what you've captured for me, and they have to send that to you. Now, again, it's based on sovereignty. So if you're like me, I'm living in Missouri, I can't go to California and say, give me all my data, or Germany. You know, it's kind of hard. Difficult, I should say. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. So what this researcher did, who was in that area, and I always butcher his name, it's Sauget Hockerall, I think, is how you pronounce it. So I probably butchered it really bad, but he had actually asked for Instagram to send him the data that they had for his account, for his Instagram account. And when he got it, he started noticing all this content that he had said, please delete. You know, when you get your Instagram and say, hey, permanently delete this as you're maybe sending something, or that he noticed other people had deleted from him, sending to him or sharing in the Instagram. And he started looking at that a little deeper and discovered that the Instagram servers were retaining basically every record. They weren't deleting. When you said delete it, they weren't deleting it. so it's kind of an interesting challenge in that, you know, it's good to know this, but he got paid a $6,000 bug bounty for it, which is always great that they reward him for it. But it just leads, you know, us to all try to remember that anything that we put out there, even the stuff that we say delete, you know, my kids doing Snapchat, you know, they're supposed to be, you know, those 3-second little or TikToks and all that other stuff is only supposed to last a certain amount of time. Even when you say delete it, it was somewhere stored at one time or another. And we don't know really if it got deleted. And there's also the whole issue of, hey, if I shared this picture with somebody, did they take a snapshot of it? And now they own it because it's on their machine. It's not your content anymore. So they viewed it. So it's an interesting, you know, I guess from my perspective, from a privacy perspective, to recognize that, you know, we do have content that's out there that we may think is gone, but isn't.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting story, and I think it brings up quite a few things. I'm sure a couple things that I'm sure we don't need to exactly dive into, which is, you know, sort of the legal side of it, in terms of, you know, when you look at something like this and you look at potentially, you know, like we know that from a law enforcement perspective, there are some things that you sort of are forced to save, right? And there's data that you have to store for legal purposes. And so a lot of times that contradicts with another policy that there may be about regular storage of data. And so I think you're absolutely right. With these companies out there that are storing our data out there, you never know where your data is going to land in their policies. You know, even though they may say, oh yeah, no, if you tell us to delete your data's gone. That might not be the case, and clearly this story is showing that, right? Is that you know, and I you know, I'm not sure if they've stated that this was just like a bug, right? That they went and fixed and they said, oh yeah, no, that was, yeah, it was a mistake. It was right. It was a coding issue, or if it was like, oh crap, you know, our policy, you know, oh man, we gotta, you know, something like that, you know.
Yeah, it reminds me of it. I had a story with a friend of mine who was saying that she wanted to get the tweet from a public figure, but the public figure had deleted that tweet. And I said, no. You know, we can get it. You know, it's not me personally having to get it, but I'm just saying is that everybody in the world has, especially if you're a public figure, is capturing your stuff. So delete is not delete, especially as public figures.
Yeah. Yep.
It's an interesting philosophical, dilemma of, as I think about the issue of privacy, as we were coming up, I think we witnessed, right, this evolution of people migrating to start using Facebook and Instagram and whatever is going to be the next technology. So we, the old schoolers, we kind of think about privacy still. Should that be posted there? And I don't know about you guys. I am conscious when I am interacting on any of these platforms, because I kind of expect that my data is going to be viewed by more than just me, or there's a chance that it might leak, or maybe I'll be checking my email later somewhere and there'll be a page of it left over there. So you kind of have to expect that that's happening. What I'm curious about is, kind of the next generation of users of these platforms. Mm-hmm. Do they realize that this is something that they have to be worried about, or do they kind of trust these platforms to behave exactly as, well, maybe they assume they behave? Do they go through this kind of conspiracy theory, tinfoil hatty, should I really be posting this analysis before posting literally everything? Now, I know by watching some of the things that get posted out there, it's absolutely not the case that people think this way. People probably think that they can just put their stuff out there and it gets deleted. But it's going to be interesting because I think, in my own mind, I'm yeah, everyone is thinking the same way. But as people grow up with the technology, maybe my kids or even their kids, they might not think about it as much. And they might actually be, this could be more of an issue for them in terms of creating the content that later they wish they could have deleted, but maybe they did, but it was not really gone. It's also interesting that this person was able to get a bug bounty for basically, I guess, a policy violation. So a lot of bug bounty programs, they almost pride you on finding some 0 day where you get into the system and you're steal all the data or something like this. But this is so different because it's more of, hey, there was miscommunication between the delete button and the data on the server. It's more like a policy thing. So it's great that this person was rewarded. That's awesome.
And I think your point though too about the generational gap is pretty prevalent. I mean, you think about us. We got a piece of paper, right? We think, oh, hey, I got to go shred this because I could go take it to the copy machine and make a copy of it. And the younger generations don't see that, right? They don't think of that stuff getting captured in other mechanisms. If I send it out, I tell my kids what you're saying is that if you post something, you don't know who has it, you don't know what they did with it, and you don't know where it's going to go from after you let go of it. Even if you say delete, it doesn't mean it's deleted. It just means your version of it is deleted. And I think that's the educational opportunities, I guess, that we need to make sure that people understand, especially like you said, as the generations get younger, they're expecting that the delete button does a delete. They just don't consider that I said it, I want to do this. Did it happen? Confirm it. It's the law. Why isn't it gone? So I think we'll have to keep preaching the gospel, right?
I think so. I'm just hopeful that one day my kids will stumble on this YouTube channel and be like, oh yeah, my dad did know what he was talking about. There he is talking about privacy. It's on the record in 2020.